History in Review. I'm your host, Captain Rutlidge, and these are my humble lodgings. This month features the birthdays of 4 presidents of the United States of America, and a holiday dedicated to all the men who led the country through thick and thin, war and peace. So, in honor of the month, we shall take a look at some figures about the presidents of the United States and see what they all hold in common and some individuality within them. To start, we shall look at names. The most common name for a president is James, with 6 presidents, followed by John with 5, then George and William with 3 each, and Andrew, Franklin, and Thomas with 2. Several presidents also had relatives serving in the White House, too. John Adams and John Quincy Adams were father and son, as were George Herbert Walker Bush and George W. Bush. William Henry Harrison was the grandfather of President Benjamin Harrison. James Madison and Zachary Taylor were second cousins. And Theodore Roosevelt, other than being the uncle of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's wife, was also his 5th cousin. FDR had even more presidential relatives, with 5 by blood and 6 more by marriage. 21 states in the Union can boast being the birthplace of a president. Virginia was the birthplace of 8 presidents, followed by Ohio with 7. When it comes to primary affiliations, though, New York and Ohio are both tied, with 6 presidents making their home there. Occupation-wise, most presidents were lawyers, military men, and public officials, but there were some pretty unique occupations amongst them, too. Andrew Johnson trained as a tailor. Grover Cleveland was the sheriff of Erie County, New York. Warren G. Harding ran a newspaper in Marion, Ohio. Jimmy Carter grew peanuts in Georgia. And Ronald Reagan was a Hollywood actor, appearing alongside great actors like Humphrey Bogart, Errol Flynn, and Bette Davis. George Washington believed that political parties would spell the end of the United States government, and was the only non-partisan to hold office. 18 presidents were Republicans, followed by 16 that were Democrats. 4 were Democrat-Republicans, 3 were Whigs, and John Adams was the only Federalist president. Of course, some of these men that were elected did not serve out their full time in office. William Henry Harrison died of pneumonia a month after taking office and was succeeded by Taylor. Taylor consumed bad food and died of stomach complications and was succeeded by Fillmore. Lincoln was assassinated at the beginning of his 2nd term and was succeeded by Andrew Johnson. Garfield was assassinated 5 months after becoming president, died a month later, and Arthur became president. McKinley was assassinated shortly after beginning his 2nd term, with Theodore Roosevelt becoming the new president. Harding suffered a heart attack after a trip to Alaska, and Coolidge filled in for the rest of the Roaring Twenties. FDR suffered a stroke during the beginning of his 4th term and was succeeded by Truman. Kennedy was assassinated during a visit to Texas and was succeeded by Lyndon Baines Johnson. The last president not to serve his full term, Richard Nixon, resigned due to the Watergate scandal and was succeeded by Gerald Ford, who was the only man to become president and vice president without being elected to either position. Of course, what is a presidential facts video without some fun facts? The tallest president was Abraham Lincoln at 6 foot 4 inches. The shortest was James Madison at 5 foot 4 inches. William Howard Taft was the fattest at 340 pounds. The youngest man to become president was Theodore Roosevelt at 42. The oldest was Ronald Reagan at 69. And while every president spoke English as a first language, Van Buren only spoke it as a second language. His first language was Dutch. Jefferson was an aficionado of food and wine, and tried to perfect the American wine industry at Monticello. James K. Polk didn't go to school until he was 18, but graduated from university in 2 years. James Buchanan is the only president who never married. Rutherford B. Hayes started the first Easter egg roll on the White House lawn. After serving as President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson became President of Princeton. Herbert Hoover, born in Iowa, was the first president to be born west of the Mississippi River. Lyndon Baines Johnson often whipped out his, namesake during heated arguments. Bill Clinton played the saxophone and won 2 Grammy Awards for audio tapes of his autobiography. And lastly, Barack Obama, other than being the first African-American elected president, is also a talented basketball player, and was nicknamed Obama by his college teammates. With all these statistics taken into account, let's see what gives a good chance of becoming the next president of the United States. According to the list, your first name must be James, you must hail from Virginia, being a lawyer with military experience, must also be a Republican and a member of the Episcopalian Church. So, if you meet all those criteria, well, you've got a splitting chance of being the next president of the United States. For more information on the presidents, I highly recommend browsing through Presidents of the United States by John and Alice Durant, or any other book about the presidents in your local library. For History in Review, I'm Captain Rutlidge. Good day.